Welcome to the channel, everyone. What I'm going to start with this video here is a series on frame repair. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about unibody repair, all different aspects of it, getting out buckles and mash and sway and all that kinds of stuff. It's going to progress into full frames later on. It's going to, half-ton, three-quarter-ton pickups. And I'm also going to be talking about using a 3D measuring system. Now, a lot of guys will have these in the shops and they don't use them because they're a little bit intimidated. So I hope with this series here, it's going to work through some of this stuff, make it a little bit easier to understand. Now, before we get started, if you haven't already done it, check out my giveaway video. There's still time to get in on that. It may interest you, but now what we're going to talk about in this very first video is basic setup on, this is just say a random unibody car, under view of it and a side view of it. And this is just going to kind of cover the basics of how one of these 3D measuring systems work. Now I've got about 25 years experience using a Shark measuring system. I've used the Cartronics a little bit, the Chief a little bit. So most of my references may be with the Shark system. But now, one thing, you don't have to have one of these measuring systems to follow along in this series, because I'm going to break it down and talk about buckles in frames and side sway and diamond and full frames and stuff like that. So I hope there's something here that's going to interest everybody, most of the people. If you've been doing framework a long time, you may pick up some tips. Usually I know I'd always try and pick other people's brains and see how they're doing stuff, and you get a little bit of knowledge from one guy or learn a tip from somebody else. So all this stuff kind of helps you. If you're just starting out and you haven't really done much full framework, I think this will help you a lot. So what I'm going to do with this series is try and keep these videos as short as possible, and I'm going to break them up into segments. So I'll have a segment on just getting buckles out of frames, or maybe diamond out of a full frame, or side sway, stuff like that. So you don't have to go through a big long video and try and see what I was talking about in just one section of it. You should be able to search these videos and pull up a certain thing, what you're looking for. So what this one's going to be about today is just a basic setup on a 3D measuring system and how they work, the principles behind it. Because I've seen these things in shops and guys will be intimidated. They don't want to take the time to learn them. They say it takes too long to set up, or I've heard before that they're not accurate. And the next video after this, hopefully, is going to address that problem. I've heard that for years. Guys says, yeah, I used it. It wasn't accurate. Nothing fit on it, so I don't use it anymore. So I'm going to address that. But what I'm going to talk about today is just an overview of how these 3D measuring systems work and what they do. The information that's in that computer has been taken off an undamaged vehicle. Usually it's a brand new vehicle off the lot, off the assembly line. And they'll use 4 control points to take a basis, and that actually, it's like building a blueprint of what this unibody is supposed to look like. It's almost like laying a template over the top of it. So that measuring system will pick up 4 points and start with undamaged points, and that's usually going to be right in the center of a car on a unibody. And the system you're using is going to tell you what points are preferred. So that's going to build the foundation to start off with. That's going to be matched up nice and square and even underneath the car you're working on, and that's going to tell you in relation to this where these frame rails are supposed to be. And it's a 3D measuring system because it covers 3 dimensions, just length, width, and height. So if this thing was hit over and it bent over to the right, it's going to tell you, is it 8 millimeters over? Is it 6 millimeters over? It's going to tell you if the length has changed, the height has changed. So you can get a lot of information out of these things. And back in the old days, we used to use centerline gauges. You can still use a tram gauge under hood views. Guys that use tape measures. There's a lot of different ways to measure a frame, but I don't think there's anything quite as accurate as the new 3D measuring systems. So if you haven't used one and you're a little bit intimidated with it, hopefully this will get you through some of the problems. And even if you don't have one of these, if you're working at home, you're working in a shop that doesn't have this system or one of these systems, I think the frame repair videos will help you a lot, because you can pull up a video about, like I said, getting buckles out of the frame and, best way to go about it. So it's going to cover a lot of different things. So, but that's just a quick overview of how these 3D measuring systems work. We're going to incorporate more of those into the future. Some will talk about the measuring system, some of the videos won't. So I hope there's something out there for everybody. So just keep watching. If you've got a particular problem that you deal with and you can't solve on a frame, something that you always run into the same type of problem, leave me a comment below. And remember, hit that subscribe button and keep watching. I hope this series is going to work out good. So thanks for watching.